It all began quietly, in a rehearsal hall no one had access to, where Wang Yibo and Shen Yue were preparing for a new project that had yet to be announced. The cameras were off, the lights dimmed, and only a few crew members were present. Most thought they were there to run through their lines, to polish another emotional scene. But what unfolded that day revealed an entirely different side of these two stars, one that would forever change how fans saw them. For years, Wang Yibo has been known as the cool, reserved actor with a mysterious charm. His expressions, his calculated silence, and his sharp eyes made him the perfect on-screen lead. Yet, behind that calm surface lay an entirely different fire. During a break between takes, someone casually left a guitar leaning on a chair. Without saying a word, Wang Yibo picked it up, his fingers moving across the strings with quiet confidence. The notes that followed stunned everyone. It wasn't just playing, it was storytelling. Each strum carried emotion, tension, and grace. Even Shen Yue, who had been reading her script, froze and turned toward him. What people didn't know was that Yibo had been composing music for years in private. He found peace in melodies, often staying up late just to experiment with sound. To him, music wasn't a side passion, it was his unspoken voice. Shen Yue, watching him play, saw a different man that day, one far more open and alive than the composed figure everyone saw on camera. And it was in that moment that their chemistry deepened, not through acting, but through shared silence and admiration. But Yibo wasn't the only one with secrets. When the director returned to the room, the guitar was set aside, and Yibo quietly teased Shen Yue about her own secret skill. She hesitated at first, then smiled and said she hadn't practiced in months. Moments later, a small sketchbook was brought to her. She began drawing, her hand moving swiftly and delicately. Within minutes, she had sketched the entire crew, the set, and even Yibo himself, each line so detailed and alive it looked almost photographic. The room went still again, this time for her. No one expected that the same actress known for her gentle voice and charming on-screen emotions had an eye so observant, so precise. Shen Yue had loved drawing since childhood, using it as a way to escape, to pour her emotions into shapes and shades when words weren't enough. The sketch of Yibo captured something rare, a glimpse of him mid-smile, relaxed and unguarded, something few people ever got to see. As filming continued over the next few weeks, word began to spread quietly among the crew about the hidden rehearsal talents. Every lunch break turned into a secret showcase. Yibo would sometimes bring his guitar again, improvising soft melodies that filled the air, while Shen Yue would sketch people in the background. The connection between them grew naturally, born out of artistic respect rather than performance. One day, during a light rain outside the studio, Shen Yue sat by the window sketching the view. The sound of the rain mixed with Yibo's soft humming as he tuned his guitar. Neither spoke, yet the atmosphere was full, like two souls communicating without needing words. It was the kind of quiet understanding that few ever experience, and those who witnessed it said it was as if the air itself slowed down around them. What many fans never realized was that these moments became the foundation of their emotional depth on screen. Every look, every pause, every unspoken moment between them in dramas carried traces of that real, private bond. It wasn't scripted. It was drawn from those days of sharing passions that went beyond their careers. Later, during an interview, Yibo was asked how he connects so naturally with his co-stars, especially Shen Yue. He smiled faintly and said, "You just have to find the music in every moment." Shen Yue, in a separate interview, laughed when asked about Yibo's hidden skills and replied, "He listens even when you don't speak. That's why his art feels so real." As months passed, fans started noticing small details. Yibo's subtle guitar motifs in background scenes of his shows, Shen Yue's art pieces that appeared in charity auctions under a pseudonym. The truth was slowly unfolding for those who paid attention. These weren't just actors, they were creators, dreamers, and artists whose talents intertwined in ways that even they didn't fully expect. The most unforgettable moment came at the end of the project. On the final day of shooting, the crew gathered to celebrate. Amid laughter and goodbyes, Yibo took the guitar one last time. This time, Shen Yue joined him, not with sketches, but with her voice. Her soft singing blended perfectly with his music, filling the room with a melody that brought everyone to tears. It was raw, heartfelt, and real. When the final note faded, Yibo looked at her and said quietly, "You should do this more often." She smiled back, eyes shimmering, and replied, "Only if you play." That small exchange became legendary among those who were there. It was the perfect reflection of their dynamic, mutual respect, creative harmony, and an unspoken connection that went beyond acting. To this day, fans who stumble upon those clips, that rare footage of them behind the scenes, can feel it too. The way Yibo's music spoke without words, the way Shen Yue's art captured life as it was happening. Together, they weren't just stars. They were proof that true artistry lives beyond the screen, hidden in moments most people never get to see. And as the credits rolled on that chapter of their journey, one thing became certain. Wang Yibo and Shen Yue weren't just playing roles, they were sharing pieces of themselves, revealing their truest forms through their hidden talents. The world had seen their characters. But those who looked closely had finally witnessed something far greater, the artists within. As the soft light from the rehearsal room flickered against the walls, Wang Yibo sat quietly on a wooden stool, his fingers tracing the edge of his guitar. The strings shimmered faintly under his touch, producing a melody that was neither rehearsed nor planned. It was raw, emotional, and deeply personal. Shen Yue, who had walked into the room moments earlier, froze in silence. There was something about that sound, that song, that voice of emotion that made her heart still. She had seen Wang Yibo act countless times, deliver lines with precision and confidence, but she had never seen him like this. This was not the actor she knew, this was the artist within him, the quiet side that rarely stepped into the light. The melody spoke of solitude and unspoken pain. It was the sound of a man who carried more within than he ever showed. When he finally stopped playing, the silence that followed was almost heavier than the music itself. Shen Yue clapped slowly, a soft smile crossing her lips. "You always surprise me," she said quietly. Wang Yibo laughed under his breath, his voice low and humble. "I don't show this part of me often," he replied. "People think I only know how to perform, but sometimes, music is where I feel the most real." As the evening deepened, their rehearsal took on a new tone. Shen Yue had always been known for her innocence and light-hearted energy, but what many didn't know was her quiet passion for art. In between takes, while everyone rested, she would sit near the window with a small sketchbook, capturing faces, lights, and emotions. Her drawings were not about perfection, they were about feeling. Every stroke carried a moment, every shadow told a story. Wang Yibo noticed her sketching one night and leaned closer to look. "You drew this?" he asked, his eyes scanning the delicate lines on the page. She nodded. "I started when I was younger. It helps me think." From that night on, their connection grew deeper, not because of fame or drama, but because they had seen parts of each other no one else had. He would play music while she drew, and together, they would create something beyond words. It became their secret space, a quiet sanctuary in the midst of the chaos of the entertainment world. During one late rehearsal for their upcoming project, a scene demanded an emotional depth that both found difficult to reach. The director called for a break, but instead of resting, Wang Yibo started strumming a melody again. Shen Yue, moved by the rhythm, began sketching the scene as she felt it, not as it looked. Something magical happened then. Their energy aligned. When they returned to filming, their performance was so moving that the entire crew went silent. The director whispered, "That's it, that's real." The scene went viral later, praised for its authenticity, but few knew the story behind it, how their off-screen bond had given life to that emotion. It was not just acting, it was a reflection of what happens when two artists understand each other's silence. Months later, in an interview, a journalist asked Wang Yibo what inspires him the most. He paused before answering. "People who express without speaking," he said. "People like Shen Yue. She has a way of showing emotion that doesn't need words." His voice trembled slightly at the end, and that clip alone melted hearts across the internet. Fans began to see what was truly between them, not just chemistry, but genuine artistic connection. Behind the camera, Shen Yue had her own quiet reflections. In a rare conversation with a close friend, she admitted, "Yibo changed how I see creativity. He reminded me that we are more than actors, we're storytellers, artists, dreamers. When I see him play music, I remember why I fell in love with creating in the first place." Their hidden talents became a symbol, a reminder that even in a world full of scripts and lights, authenticity still existed. Their fans began to share clips of Yibo's performances, matching them with Shen Yue's artwork, creating digital tributes that spread across the world. People didn't just see them as actors anymore. They became icons of artistry, purity, and connection. But fame has its cost. As whispers of their closeness grew, media outlets twisted their story into speculation. Headlines tried to define them, labeling their friendship as something it was not. Yet through it all, they stayed silent, letting their art speak for them. Wang Yibo continued performing live music sessions during his off days, while Shen Yue quietly released a series of art pieces under a pseudonym, each one capturing a fleeting emotion between two souls who understood each other perfectly. Then came a night when they both appeared at a private industry event. Cameras flashed, questions flew, but when they finally met eyes across the room, the world seemed to fade. They smiled, not as co-stars, not as public figures, but as two people who had shared a journey of creation, vulnerability, and trust. In the days that followed, Yibo posted a short clip on social media, a few seconds of him playing a soft tune on his guitar. The caption read, "To the ones who create from the heart, not for the fame." Hours later, Shen Yue shared an image of one of her sketches, captioned, "To those who listen when words are too heavy." Fans instantly connected the dots. It wasn't just about romance, it was about two souls who had found peace through art and each other. Their story reminds us that behind the fame, the lights, and the noise, lie hearts that still beat for something real. In their hidden talents, Wang Yibo and Shen Yue revealed not just who they are, but what truly matters: authenticity, connection, and creation from the soul. And maybe that's why their story continues to touch so many lives. Because in a world full of performance, they chose honesty. In a life surrounded by noise, they found harmony. And in each other, they discovered the beauty of being understood without saying a word.